good afternoon, and welcome to Sports Talk right here on the family station, Love 101 FM. The name is Kathya, and of course, we do this every Saturday between the hours of 1 to 2 hours of 1 to 2 p.m. Yeah, I mean, it is all right, Kareem. Never do something. All right, Kareem. Mega beat Kareem with the people. Yeah, man, mega beat Kareem. Kareem never put the song on repeat, people. So I'm gonna start play hear other playing on my ears. Kareem. Anyways, let's go on. Let's get on to the show because, as you guys, I'm sure would have imagined and thought, a lot of off the track has happened this week, and of course, I have to share my thoughts on all of this. We have the ICC T20 World Cup happening now the remainder of the games will be held in the Caribbean. So we have that to talk about. West Indies women, they played Sri Lanka. We'll talk a little bit about that series. And of course, the Copa America campaign begins today for Jamaica. So we'll talk about that as well. Have a special guest joining us later on in the show to give his thoughts on some of the happenings. The sports. Of course, we have a special edition of Sports Talk lined up for you next week, as we will be looking forward to the national trials, and there'll be some people with us to tell us, their thoughts on who's gonna make the team and who's not. But yeah, so stay right here on the family station Love 101 for that and more. It's going to be a great show. We go up until 2:00, so stay with us. Enjoy the little time. Join the discussion at 876-997-3125, or you can log on to Facebook and or YouTube at Love 101 FM Jamaica. So let's get right into it. Of course, I always start off these segments by saying the views expressed on Sports Talk are not necessarily the views of Love 101 FM. And from you hear me say that, it's about to go down. All right, so circulating in the media this week was one of the top coaches in Jamaica, Stephen Francis. And he gave an interview to 2 stations this week, and he pretty much called out the J3s and especially the selection committee of the J3s. You guys already know my feelings as it is towards any sporting organization body in this country. It doesn't, yeah. I'm not really, I don't think that they're the most organized, and especially for or sporting activities that do well, like track and field. Sometimes I feel like they're a little all over the place, and things always seem to be happening in the behind the scenes. We know when it comes on to Olympics and World Championships, there's always talks about who needs to run and who's not running, and who has to do a relay, but they have to run the heats and run the heats of the relay and the finals. There's always some drama happening behind the scenes of athletics. And truth be told, when Coach Stephen Francis said what he had to say this week, I was not surprised. And let me tell you, because there are 2 things about Coach Francis. He is not going to mince his words. He's an excellent coach. I don't really think he's really a people person, but he's not gonna mince his words. And you just have to you have to give the man that. Like when he speaks, he just doesn't, he just says what's on his mind, and he doesn't care if you're offended or not by it, and that's really just what happened. And he in particular called out to J3A selectors, um in Coach David Riley, who we've had on this show, and Issa President, who is also one of the J3A's selector on the selection committee, Keith Riley, saying that they know about high school track and field, they don't really know about senior um, athletics, so they shouldn't be on the selection committee as it relates to the senior team. So the junior team, he's fine with them being on the selection committee for the junior team, but not for the senior team. Here is my problem, and I'll start with J3's. In both David Riley's and Keith Wellington's response, there's still some inconsistency as it relates to the J3's. There's still a lack of transparency as it relates to the J3's. And I think generally that's the public's problem with the J3. It's like nothing is ever, this is how we do it. Here is the black and white. It's always, you hear one thing over here, they have something written, but they said, we can override it at any time. But yet still they send out something, or there's something that exists to guide the process. Then it is that they don't want to name the selectors, the persons on the selectors committee, which I can't understand, because if this has to do with national interest, in my opinion, seeing that we are a top, brand in track and field, then I can't see why you can't say XYZ. These persons are the ones who are on the committee, because guess what? Guess what happens? We have pretty much nobody to hold accountable when anything goes wrong, and that is where my problem really is. Because what happened at the World Relays, we can all agree, as it relates to the 4x4 men, should not have happened. And I would have said it probably a week after the World Relays on this very show. That should not have happened, or men should not have qualified, or we are running down times trying to put college students who have been running since January, putting them in a position to qualify now at the last minute for Olympics. We should not have been in that position. We're top what? That's what, top 16? Jamaica's not out of the top 16 in the world as it relates to 4x4. No, we're not. But somebody did not do their job. But guess what? Because of the lack of the lack of transparency with the J3s, we don't have anybody to hold accountable to say, you were the one that made the decision, so we're holding you accountable. And I think at the root of it, that's what Stephen Francis was saying. Yes, he called on Mr. Wellington and Mr. Riley, but I don't think he called on them because he doesn't think that they're competent. My thing, he's going from a reasonability to, maybe, in my opinion, he probably knows who is on the selectors committee, and there are other things being said which I won't say on this show. But I think at the root of Stephen Francis' problem is that we have nobody to hold accountable for what happened in the Bahamas earlier this year. And that is sad. And that is always my problem with the J3s. You have a head coach and a technical director, and we got all over the place, and everybody is hop, skip, jumping when we got to world championships. Nobody wants to answer the question straight. There's just always a lack of transparency as it relates to the J3s. And did Mr. Francis attack Sir Riley and Wellington? Yes. And one of the things that's, out in the public that I don't necessarily agree with, and I see other people commenting other places, my thing is, if somebody comes to attack your character, it takes 1,000% somebody who is calm, collected, and all of that. And even so, it takes a a whole bigger person, a whole bigger everything for you not to retaliate, for you not to say things about another person when they come to attack you. It's hard. It's not easy. It's hard. And so when I see the responses from David Riley, I'm not surprised. Nobody like Dave Riley was out there minding his own business, and Stephen Francis basically came and attacked him and Mr. Wellington. And the truth is, they have not responded. And now people are upset that they have responded. But you cannot attack somebody's character and expect them to just sit back and relax and everything is Chris and Corey. It does not work like that. And whilst you don't want to see a certain side of people, it's also you are attacking somebody's livelihood. David Riley is a coach. That's what he's known for. You just don't come and attack people like that. And that is a part of what happened that I don't agree with. Say what you have to say about an organization, but do not attack people personally, especially because no transparency really exists within that organization. So you can't hold anybody responsible. Do not point out two persons because they're not the only ones that sit on that selectors committee. They are not the only ones that sit on. And personally, persons in your camp at MVP sit on that committee as well. So if you're attacking the committee, please just might as well he attacked everybody who he knows that was on the committee, because you single out two persons, but they're not the only ones that made the decision. So then how do you like, how do you compensate for that to say, what you did was like okay? And in all of what Stephen Francis said, that was my problem. The personal attacks against David Riley and Keith Wellington, I don't think they were I mean, at least tasteful, if you want me to be like, but it is what it is. The point I think that Stephen Francis made in terms of we shouldn't be in this position, and we, they're going to have to, his suggestion of, the changing of the schedule and all of that, we are seeing that, a decision has been taken for that to take place. So the 400 to run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they will try to aim to qualify for the 4x4 on Sunday. And persons may ask, for those who don't know, June 30 is the day that anybody who wants to participate in the Olympics as it relates to track and field, June 30 is that cutoff date. If you don't meet the Olympic standard by June 30, as well, if you don't meet the Olympic standard by June 30, yes, there are some events that are not as populated as the relays and 100 meter and 200 meters. So you may qualify on what they call world rankings. But something for a relay right now, I think Namibia, can't call the name, they are the ones currently in the spot that we are trying to get. One of those African teams, right? They're in the spot that we are trying to get, which I think the time that we're trying to chase is 2 minutes 59.12. That's the time that we're trying to chase. We did 2 minutes 59.75 when we ran at the Nakak thing that Bahamas had last week. And there's also even controversy about that, because I heard that Trinidad was supposed to be a part of it, but they didn't, they didn't show up. So we were running again. Well, there were two Jamaican team and a Barbados team that ran. But all in all, we're going to go for a break right here on Sports Talk. We're going to be right back. I'll close off my thoughts as it relates to this whole J3's matter, and we'll jump into something else. We'll be right back.
Kevin Downswell Foundation presents Realignment 2024 with Kevin Downswell, Chevelle Franklin, Positive, John Mark Wigan, Prince Saj, and more. Tickets 2,000, VIP 6,000, VVIP 10,000. Fontana, Genus, and St. Jago Pharmacies, Ryan's, and Kingston Bookshop. SpurOpen.com/realignment 2024. 876-203-7030. Saturday, July 6th, Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. Sunday, July 7th, Mandeville Primary and Junior High Playfield. 5:30 p.m. both days.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
It's not over.
Listen to words of upliftment in Something More with Bishop Harold Blair, brought to you by the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center.
And he cried out to God. Have you been there? Have you been there when it seems as if you've been left all alone and no one cares for you? No one gives to you a word of comfort or consolation. But as you lift up your eyes to the hills from whence cometh your help, the Lord heard your cry.
That's Something More with Bishop Harold Blair. Something More comes to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:30 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
It's not over till it's over. And it ain't over yet. Oh, it's not over.
Get ready for an inspiring time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jokal Dyer, this Monday, June 24. Listen throughout the show for tips on how to become the best version of who you are in the future becoming you. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with a morning coffee pick-me-up devotional at 6 a.m. Then cruise with Love on your radio at 7 a.m. inside Drive Time Jammings with great music to lift your day. At 8:30 a.m. inside The Healthy Way, we discuss high cholesterol. And at 9:30, we wrap things up with Something More, brought to you by the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center. So stick and stay with us. This Pick Me Up Monday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to Sports Talk right here on the family station, Love 101 FM. The name is Kathya. Right. So before the break, I was giving my thoughts on what's happening in terms of the off the track issues with Mr. Stephen Francis and things that he would have said about David Riley and Keith Wellington and the J3s and the selection committee. But all in all, as I close off my thoughts on this matter, I just want to say that I wish going forward that there will be greater transparency as it relates to the J3s. I don't think Stephen Francis is going to change his ways. So I can't even say I expect better from him because I really don't. Because he is like this. This is how he is. He speaks his mind. And throughout all of the things that he would have said, there were some points that were made. The J3s selection committee, I think there need to be clear communication, especially with the coaches. They need to develop proper relationship with the athletes and the coaches, so that not that we only can look good on the bigger stage, on the track, but the administrative part can also be taken care of. And again, this is not like only for the J3s. This I suspect, I don't know if all our sporting bodies speak to each other, but we cannot treat our athletes right across the different sporting bodies the same way. I'm not sure why, but it's just a harsh reality that we have to face in Jamaica, and we have to do better generally across all sporting bodies, how we relate to the people who put their bodies on the line to represent this country. I rest the case. That's what it is. We wish all the athletes, because by the time the show is aired next week, Saturday, the national trials would have already started. So we wish the athletes all the best. And of course, we will talk about who is going on the plane to Paris and who will not be going on the plane to Paris. Yeah. So those are my few thoughts. Yes. All right. In further news, or in other news, I should say, happening in the sporting world, the West Indies women, they would have gone down 3-0 to Sri Lanka. Boy, I really try to watch these games, but I between the T20 World Cup, by the time the World Cup finishes in the evening, boy, it's been a struggle to stay up to watch the ladies, but um I'm not well, I guess the performance was it wasn't all bad, but we didn't perform as I think we would have performed. I mean, Sri Lanka still is still one of the top teams in the world, so I mean, they would have given us a good series. I don't think our batting really stood up against Sri Lanka. I think in the last match, Sri Lanka they made 275 for 6, and we were bowled out for 115. That's a big fashion, yeah. Uh, um, so it's only for us that in terms of the West Indies women, they would have to look back on what transpired throughout this series and see how we can improve ourselves. I mean, we had the opportunity twice to literally win the series. In the first match, we let me see something here. So in the first match, the scores were Sri Lanka 198 for 4, and West Indies they were bowled out for 195. In the second match, West Indies was bowled out for 92 all out. Sri Lanka made 93 for 5. So it was one of those series for the West Indies women, and this is the series as it relates to the one days. So they move on now to the 3 T20 series. The first one will be on Monday. So and all these games they start at 12:30 a.m. Jamaica time. I know most of us are sleeping, so I will try to keep us posted or updated next week, because by the time we get to next week, they would have the series would have been completed, because the T20 series is going to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's Sri Lanka against the West Indies, and of course I do expect a better performance from the ladies in the T20. I mean, our one days have been up there and not there and trying to be there, but I think we should see a better performance from the ladies in the T20s. So yeah, later today Jamaica will kick off their Copa America campaign against, or should I say, arch rivals? Yeah, man, Mexico. Yes. We will be playing Mexico later. The game kicks off at 8 p.m. Jamaica time. West Indies is not playing today, which means that we do have time to take in some Copa America. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this game against Mexico. The game will be played in Houston, USA. And I think, I mean, we've had good, and our track record against Mexico has been, not the best. I mean, I think yeah. The truth is, against Mexico, I just don't know. Sometimes I just feel like we can't get over that hurdle with Mexico. We also have Ecuador and Venezuela in our group, and it's of course the top two teams that will make it to the next round. So we're looking forward to what the boys will put up later. Coach Hallgrimsson said, um, despite well, he didn't say anything about the off the field issues, but he did say, the boys seem to be motivated, um, and they're looking forward to this matchup against Mexico. So, we've had so far 3 wins, 5 losses against Mexico head to head. So, rather head to head, Mexico has won 7 times. We've won twice, and we've drawn twice. Then the last time we faced Mexico was in the CONCACAF Gold Cup knockout stage, and that's where Mexico defeated us, and that was in 2023. So last year, yes, last year, Mexico defeated us 3-0 in that game, right? And then of course, we're always playing Mexico because they are in our side of the world as it relates to CONCACAF, and yeah, they're in CONCACAF, so we'll always be playing Mexico, right? But fortunately for us, we don't have Mexico, and which is why I think that we have a good chance at making the World Cup in 2026, because the World Cup is being hosted in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. And those are the teams that are always qualifying ahead of us. So we do have our best shot at qualifying for the World Cup in 2026. But we start building from here. The Copa America, important tournament, and I think that we should be able to put up a good performance later against Mexico, and I'm looking forward to that. I literally am looking forward to that. In terms of, so the Copa America that would have started on Thursday. Argentina, they would have defeated Canada 2-0, and yesterday Peru would have played Chile. That game ended 0-0, and then today Ecuador, Venezuela. Those are the other two teams in our group. That match will kick off at 5 o'clock, and then the Mexico Jamaica match that kicks off at 8 o'clock. Then tomorrow USA will play Bolivia, and Uruguay will play Panama, and then on Monday, Colombia they'll play Paraguay, and Brazil they'll play Costa Rica. So the teams that we know. I know many Jamaicans, they support Brazil. They're Brazil fans or Uruguay fans if they are fans of people still fans of Luis Suarez. I don't know. And of course, the before we go to the break, the UEFA, you're me talking no Euro 2024, that's also going on. I can just give you the matches that took place this week in Euro 2024, and as I said, we support a lot of Jamaicans I know support the European teams as well. A lot of Jamaicans I know support what them name, England, right? So since we were here last week, Romania, they defeated Ukraine 3-0. Slovakia defeated Belgium 1-0. France, they defeated Austria 1-0. Turkey defeated Georgia 3-1. Portugal defeated Czech Republic 2-1. Croatia and Albania played to a 2-2 draw. Germany defeated Hungary 2-0. Scotland, Switzerland, they played to a 1-1 draw. Slovenia, Serbia played to a 1-1 draw. Denmark, England played to a 1-1 draw. Spain defeated Italy 1-0. Ukraine defeated Slovakia 2-1. Austria defeated Poland 3-1. The Netherlands, they played to a 0-0 draw with France. Czech Republic and Georgia, they played to a 1-0 draw. And these last two matches were since this morning. Portugal defeated Turkey 3-0. At 2 o'clock, Belgium will play Romania, and tomorrow Switzerland plays Germany and Scotland plays Hungary. So that's what's happening as it relates to the Euros. Next week, I think we'll be able to give a better rounding, as the teams will be like settled in the different groups and would have played more than one matches. So we will be able to give you some standings and to talk about who's gonna go home and who's gonna make it. All right, so we're gonna go for another break. On the other side, it is cricket. Lovely cricket. We'll be right back here on Sports Talk on the Family Station, Love 101 FM.
As a man living with HIV, a regular day for me, not much different from yours. I have to wake up and go to people and work in the traffic, but then when we reach, we can run some joke with my co-worker them. Sometimes we link up after work, or play ball, or just dip on my ends and kick back before we go home. You see how much we have in common? People living with HIV are a part of our community. Make we par, protect, accept, and respect. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today, 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. It's the Telephone Counseling and Prayer Ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. A reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me.
Get ready for an inspiring time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jokal Dyer, this Monday, June 24. Listen throughout the show for tips on how to become the best version of who you are in the future becoming you. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with a morning coffee pick-me-up devotional at 6 a.m. Then cruise with Love on your radio at 7 a.m. inside Drive Time Jammings with great music to lift your day. At 8:30 a.m. inside The Healthy Way, we discuss high cholesterol. And at 9:30, we wrap things up with something more. Brought to you by the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center. So stick and stay with us. This Pick Me Up Monday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the Family Station, Love 101.
June is Men's Health Month. As fathers, brothers, sons, uncles, and grandpas, men are needed. Our families are incomplete without them. But do we regard them as such? Monday, June 24 on Family Time. Join host Sir Twain and guests as they discuss the topic Manhood Explored, Burden or Blessing. That's Family Time, Monday, June 24 at 5:30 p.m. here on the Family Station, Love 101.
Welcome back to Sports Talk right here on the Family Station, Love 101. The name is Kathya, and we kick things off in this segment because I have a guest, a friend of mine. I'll talk about him a little bit more in about 10 seconds. But we are about to dive into what's happening with the ICC World Cup. It's now at the Super 8 stage. We'll talk about the performances so far, especially that of one of the co-hosts or team, West Indies. Welcome in my friend. He's usually on for football, so you guys know I have to talk to him about Copa America. I know he didn't come here to talk about Copa America, but I'll get his thoughts on the match later. And of course, he's also an avid cricket fan as well. My guest this afternoon, Alexi Da Costa. Yes. Good afternoon, Alexi. How are you?
Good afternoon, Kathya. Good afternoon, listeners. Doing pretty good. I'm in a much better place now after seeing last night's game with the West Indies team. But
Aren't we
yeah,
all?
doing very well on that front for sure.
All right. So before we talk about the cricket, Alexi, because if you guys know, Alexi would have come on this show and we'd have talked about spoken about the reggae boys before. So Alexi, of course, I can't have you on and not even ask you of what you think of the match in about 2 minutes. Your thoughts on the game later.
The reggae boys game.
Correct.
I think it's going to be interesting. I've said for quite some time that I think we can take the likes of Mexico, United States, on any given day. When we're at our best, I think we can beat them. So I think it's going to be interesting because there's Mexico on that side. Mexico is going through a transitionary period. They've disposed of the likes of Guillermo Ochoa, Irving Lozano. They decided to look past him as well. So there's quite a few players that they're trying to blood into this this upcoming World Cup campaign. Well, they're not a part of the World Cup campaign, but they're looking towards 2026. So it's an opportunity for Jamaica to kind of catch them during that little period where they're still trying to figure out things. And of course, the Mexican national coach, is always under pressure as well. So I think it's an opportunity for us to kind of really catch them unawares, catch them at the right. I think this might be a right time in a big tournament, a big game to catch them with a surprise big picture of our own. So I think it's going to be an interesting game on many different levels.
All right, great. So you think Jamaica will win? Yes.
I didn't say that.
I'm asking you now, though.
I think if I would not bet against Jamaica. However, I think it's going to be more or less an even contest. On the score sheet, I think it's going to be a draw.
A draw.
If I was to ask, if you're since you're pushing me, since you're forcing me to make a prediction here,
I'm not.
I'm just.
You could have declined.
But I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be a tight contest. Jamaica always seems to lift their game against the likes of the United States and Mexico. So, Mexico is never an easy team to play against. And given the fact that they will be in Texas, I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of Mexican supporters. So it will almost feel like a home game. But I think it's going to be a close contest. With the weapons that we have, I think it's gonna be tight, and I think it's gonna end in a draw.
Great. All right. So let's skip over now to cricket, lovely cricket. We didn't speak. Well, I didn't bother because since we were gonna talk today, I didn't bother to kind of pick your mind on the West Indies game. But let me hear from you first before we get to West Indies, because I know you have a lot to say on that. How do you feel about the tournament so far? The teams would have made the Super 8. Did you expect those teams? Have the tournament lived up to the bill? This T20 being hosted in the US and the Caribbean, has it lived up to the bill for you? Tell me your thoughts so far.
You know what? I think if you asked me that question probably after the first week of the tournament, yes, there were some surprising results, but I would have told you that I think the ICC or the organizers would be a little bit disappointed with the state of the pitches that were used, particularly in New York and where was it? And Kingston, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to a lesser extent. But with that said, I think the not so friendly to batting pitches has lend the cricket games to be a little bit more open. I think the smaller teams have come into their own a little bit more because of that. It's no secret that the bigger teams have a lot of power. You know, you look at the likes of England, India, South Africa, West Indies. They're power packed teams, but you know, the likes of a Nepal, for example, United States, they rely heavily on their bowling attack. So now that the pitches are a little bit more supportive to bowling, you see a lot of these teams kind of come into play. And I think in the end, we're going to look back at this tournament and say it's probably one of the most successful tournaments, even the context. Being hosted West Indies' first international tournament, being hosted there for many years. 20-team tournament, the largest ICC cricket tournament ever. I think we're going to look and say this is a resounding success because of how competitive it has been.
Any surprises for you in terms of the Super 8? Because there's no Pakistan and no Sri Lanka. Those teams not being in the Super 8. That's a surprise for you.
I always say, the two national teams in cricket in the world that are just very strange teams. They're very unpredictable. It's either West Indies and Pakistan. And you see it in this tournament. They were all over the place, Pakistan. So I'm a little bit surprised that they were knocked out. I think they have to do some introspection with how they set up their team, their style of play. But nonetheless, they have some very big names in their team. So yes, I did expect them to make it to the Super 8 stage. That is a surprise that they're out. I think USA was probably the biggest surprise. I didn't think USA would have been the team to have made it through if Pakistan would have been upset. But they're there, and kudos to them. And you can see that they're not just it wasn't just a fluke. You can see that they do have some quality about them. Coached by former West Indies coach Stuart Law. Another big surprise for me is that New Zealand didn't make it through. New Zealand has always been, pretty much for the last 10 years, perennial bridesmaids when it comes to international cricket tournaments. So I definitely thought they would have been there and even in contention for the semifinals, but Afghanistan pretty much knocked them out from their first game, I would say. So that was also a major surprise at how good Afghanistan have been in this tournament. So, and by the way, look out for that game later on a spinning pitch, Afghanistan, Australia. I think that won't be as straightforward as a lot of people think because of the pitch that is there in St. Vincent. So, but yeah, overall, a lot of surprises, pleasant surprises. As long as my West Indies team is in there, the bigger surprises don't bother me too much. I think I'm happy for it.
All right, no problem. All right, Alexi, stay with us. We're going to go for a break right here on Sports Talk, listeners. We'll be right back.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
For the best in Sunday morning gospel, nothing beats listening to Sunday Praise on Love 101 FM with me, your host, Derval Graham. You will hear today's favorites, yesterday's classics, and pretty much anything else in between. And there's plenty more besides the music, including Living Well, your Sunday morning health and wellness feature, plus opportunity for you to share your thoughts and send your dedications to family and friends. So get your day and indeed your week off to a great start. Tune in to your family station, Love 101 FM, this and every Sunday morning at 6 for Sunday Praise.
Get ready for an inspiring time inside Love in the Morning with me, your host, Jakal Dyer, this Monday, June 24. Listen throughout the show for tips on how to become the best version of who you are in the future becoming you. Grab your cup of coffee and start the day right with a morning coffee pick-me-up devotional at 6 a.m. Then cruise with love on your radio at 7 a.m. inside Drive Time Jammings with great music to lift your day. At 8:30 a.m. inside The Healthy Way, we discuss high cholesterol, And at 9:30, we wrap things up with something more, brought to you by the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center. So stick and stay with us. This Pick Me Up Monday inside Love in the Morning, 5 to 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
June is Men's Health Month. As fathers, brothers, sons, uncles, and grandpas, men are needed. Our families are incomplete without them. But do we regard them as such? Monday, June 24 on Family Time. Join host Sir Twain and guests as they discuss the topic Manhood Explored, Burden or Blessing. That's Family Time, Monday, June 24 at 5:30 p.m. here on the Family Station, Love 101.
Welcome back to Sports Talk right here on the Family Station, Love 101. We're speaking with cricket enthusiast. Well, I don't know. He's a cricket football enthusiast, sports enthusiast like myself, Alexi Da Costa. Alexi, still there with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, great. So we're gonna now shift to our favorite team. I don't know. You're talking about my West Indies, but it's our West Indies. Just say.
Kiwi West Indies.
West Indies, exactly. But I know last night definitely made this conversation today easier. Because if they'd lost last night, then I wouldn't be in such a happy mood. But I'm in an okay mood. But talk to me, Alexi, first about West Indies performance. What do you think for the group stage? And then I know you have a lot to say about that first match of the Super Eights.
Yeah, the first match of the Super Eights was a little disappointing. I think we played within ourselves for whatever reason. I don't know if it was fear. I think the biggest issue was for me was that on that pitch, the team that we selected was questionable to say the least. We should have, Obed McCoy played on that same pitch against Afghanistanis, and he took 3 wickets, 2 wickets in his first over, and he's the highest wicket taker on that ground. So I think he came back to bite the team, defending a par total, if you can call it par, and then playing against a power part West English team that like to feel the pace coming on to the butt. Not so much the usage of the West Indian pitches. If you bowl it halfway down or on a length, slower ball, it's kind of almost like a skill in and of itself. And Obed McCoy, I would like to say, has mastered that skill. He didn't play. They felt it in the middle over. They didn't have that wicket-taking option, and we paid the price for it. Now, on the back of that, we have to pay catch-up to an extent. Luckily, we were massacred the United States team, which was what I was hoping for. So, we're back on track. But I think I just hope, as a West Indian, we didn't lose, we didn't drop the cup with the team that we selected against England. I think when you play someone like Omari Shepherd, I'm a big fan of him batting wise, not a big fan of him bowling wise.
Same.
And I think that if on a batting pitch, he may not be needed as much because I don't see us losing 6 wickets. He faced 7 balls, he missed about 5 of them, and then the 2 overseas ball cost 41 runs. So you kind of have a decision to make there. That position, that 11th spot on the team, let's call it the 11th spot on the team. Are you getting the most out of the person that you're?
Out of that person, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So and we definitely was not the case, and it was very costly. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, I was kind of surprised that they brought Romario Shepherd back into the squad, especially having seen what Obed McCoy did against Afghanistan. I thought that McCoy deserved a chance back on the trot again, but I am yet to see that decision. I'm really hoping that we are able to get through against South Africa and so make it to the semifinals, so that one poor decision will not come back to haunt us. But as it stands right now, I feel it felt very haunting until probably last evening, as you rightly said, massacred the USA. And I know we knew that we had to do that to have any chance again. And then of course, you spoke about Pakistan earlier being one of those unpredictable teams, but I don't have as well as the West Indies. But trust me, England is right up there as well because I it is I can't see how England lost that match. I can't see how they lost against South Africa. I'm still trying to work out the math, but the
Yeah,
math is not mathing for me.
to be honest, I was a little bit surprised as well. I didn't watch it, but I was following it, and I thought England had it in the bag. But and if we know anything about South Africa, they are perennial chokers. So I'm even surprised that they were even to pull it off
That is
in
what
a
I'm saying.
close chase. So,
Yeah, and and,
but
and
you know
England
what?
was. Yeah, go ahead.
I will go on record to say that. So I don't know if I'm not saying that it will happen with the West Indies, but I will go on record to say that South Africa's they will come in this tournament when they again left wanting in the end, in a close tie. So close game. So I don't know if it will happen in the next game. It might happen in the semifinals if they do make it through. But that's one thing I think are constant with that team, especially an inexperienced
Yeah,
team like theirs. So, but in the same way, I thought West Indies was always going to lose one game. If they do make it to finals, I thought they were going to lose one game. I didn't think they were going to be unbeaten. It's just
yeah.
the West Indian way. I thought
We have
it
to
happened
we
with
have
both.
to we have to find the hardest way to do anything at all in any
Right,
tournament, and that's the
right. It's
that's
just
that's
it's
the
just
reality. We have to depend on somebody else to do something for us to make it happen. But I do believe that our chances against South Africa are good. And I do believe we still can make it to the semifinals. As I said, I just wish that that one game is just or one loss for the tournament. I would just move past it. Because I think that I don't think that we will be able to compile another team like this current team to go after a T20 championship again, not for another few years. Um,
that's a solid point. Bold statement, considering that we always find talent, but when you look at people like a Russell, for example, you may not be able to find somebody like him anytime soon. Um, Players like well, Puran is not that old, but somebody like Russell is not somebody you probably have around the next go.
yeah,
So I would say that I think that's a fair statement. It's debatable, but I think you might be onto something there. Never
yeah,
thought about it like that actually. So that's a good one.
yeah. All right. So, in terms of looking forward, no, because this is now we have one game left in the Super Eights, and then well, depends on what happens. Of course, we if we beat South Africa, then we're through. If we lose to South Africa, we have to hope that USA beats England. I don't even. Anyways, I don't know why I'm saying that, but we're beating South Africa. That's the first thing. What do you think our chances are? I've said what I think, but what do you think our chances are against South Africa?
Very good. We've kind of had we've won the last couple of series, bilateral series we've played against them home and away, and particularly I think the one in South Africa at the start of last year I think was a very tough one, and the mere fact that we won it was I think says a lot. That was a very entertaining series as well. I think that was like teams were both hitting above like upwards of 220, 240. And to win a series like that, I think says a lot about the talent that is in the squad and those pitches. Um, so I think the chances are very good. It's by no means it's by no means a walkover. It's by no means a sure win. But at the same time, I think that this team can beat anybody that's in the tournament. If I make no apologies saying that. So I think it's going to be a good one. I think a lot of it will come down to the type of pitch that they end up playing on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think our chances are good, and I would I don't like the teams that I love the most. I don't like to make predictions on them. I'm kind of superstitious like that, but I believe that we'll have a win in us to make it through to the semifinals.
Yeah. I think we have a very good chance to make it to the semifinals. I will just leave it at that. I won't ask you to break your own superstition with your teams. Yeah, so I guess that being said, yeah, you are in terms of going back to the point you made earlier. I think overall this tournament, when it's all settled and all the dust have settled, it will probably go down as one of the best tournaments for the ICC. It had its own issues, so many games being rained out in Florida, etc., etc. But I think overall, the performance from the teams and how close things seem to evenly match, and not all the games went according to the script, made it interesting as it went along and as it goes along. So I'm hoping that that continues, except that I'm hoping that West Indies wins. That's all. Anything else can happen, just West Indies will win, and I'll be fine with that. And I'm sure you will be too, Alexi.
Of course. I don't trust me. As much as it has been a good tournament, if we lose tomorrow, we get knocked out. I'm not watching anymore. I'll be too upset. But yeah, I think we have a very good chance to play some of the best cricket amongst the top teams of the last couple of years. So I think we can definitely make it a third championship and our first at home. So I
Yeah.
can definitely see that happening. I just hope that we pick the right team.
Yes. Picking the right team is
That's
very,
the most.
very essential. Very
That's
essential. And we
proven to be the key, I would say.
Yeah, and we know the pitches. It's not like anybody has to tell us about the pitches. We know the pitches, so we stand, I think, in the advantageous seat. Having known the pitches, that this is what this pitch will or will not give, so we are able to be round off the best teams. And of course, I think South Africa, they will come because we would have defeated, I don't think, the better side of their squad in Jamaica. Yes, they've added a few members, but the team has not significantly changed to the team that played in Jamaica. So, of course,
Yeah,
they'll be
we didn't have our full strength side
and we
either.
didn't have our full strength either.
Yeah, so
But yeah, so yeah, sad also to see Jamaican Brandon King picking up that strain that he did. And for me, I thought that the England game was going to be his game because, truth be told, I know if he didn't make any runs the other night, he would have been dropped from the team, quite so, and quite understood. But sad to see him missing the rest of the tournament, and we wish him all the best in terms of his recovery process to play some. Hopefully, we'll be able to see him in the CPL. All right, Alexi, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, we'll catch up maybe next week or maybe the week after. Yeah, but we'll definitely catch up, Alexi, to speak about the West Indies some more and this ICC Cricket World Cup, and of course to pull your thoughts on the Copa America. Thank you so much for stopping by today, Alexi. Appreciate it so much.
thank you. Thank you to your listeners as well.
All right, have a good one. All right, peeps, that has been Sports Talk. Just to say, news coming from the Inter-Secondary Sports Association. They had their annual general meeting today, and the new body that has been selected to serve for 2024 to 2026. Well, this actually press release came out on June 21st, which was yesterday. Keith Wellington has been elected to serve again as the president of the Inter-Secondary Schools Association. So he'll be in charge of ISA for the next 2 years. All right, that's all the time we have on Sports Start this week. We do this every Saturday between the hours of 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the family station. This has been Sports Talk Special Edition, featuring the Jamaica Athletics J3A's junior senior championships next week. We'll have a special show on that who we think should be heading on the plane, will be heading on the plane to Paris. That's all the time I have. See you next week, Saturday. Have a wonderful weekend.